my name is Neni Carolina Chacin, and welcome back again to another episode of my Songversation. Songversation is something I do every day from Tuesday to Saturday to bring you some singing and some coaching where I will teach you some strategies to cope and to prepare and to succeed and to become a better person during these uncertain times and after. I've been doing this since the beginning of April, and I wanted to bring you another episode today. This week we're honoring our fathers, and I have a bunch of information for you to share and to reflect upon, to prepare now that everybody is opening and things are coming out. People are so beautiful. Terraces last night of people gathering and eating outside and everything. So the first thing I want to sing this song for you is Natalie Cole is one of my favorite singers. Of course, her dad is one of my favorite male singers. And this song is called Unforgettable. Hi, Francis. Hi, everybody in the world. We're live on Instagram, live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. And I hope you enjoy this song called Unforgettable. Unforgettable, that's what you are. Unforgettable, though near or far. Like the song of love that clings to me. How the thought of you does things to me. Never before has someone been more unforgettable in every way and forevermore. That's how you'll stay. That's why, darling, it's incredible that someone so unforgettable thinks that I am unforgettable too. I'm singing that song because it's unforgettable. Who is unforgettable in your life? We forget a lot of things, but fathers are unforgettable, right? For good or for bad, whatever influence they had in your life, fathers are unforgettable. Founding fathers of countries are unforgettable. Father figures are unforgettable. Anything. This week, I'm talking about fathers in honor to Father's Day coming up this weekend. And unforgettable, sometimes unforgettableness happens because we are in fear. So I want to talk about fear a little bit and how father figures have influenced us in creating this fear. For us, for example, maybe the government is a form of fatherhood, right? Maybe our fathers are imposing laws like governments as well. So in the homes, in life, even if you don't live with your parents or your fathers, you're always kind of ruled by all the different ideas and norms that your father or your different multiple fathers that you had have imposed in your life, restrictions. And a lot of the time, fathers impose rules and regulations based on fear. And this happens also in families. You see, it happens in the small nucleus, and it also happens in a macro level, right? So without even talking about it, we know that right now we are in a great fear. But how did we overcome fear when we were in the house and they were telling us, be careful, don't touch that fire, right? The kids, usually in rebellious attitude, actually go and they're attracted to this fire. But they have to touch this fire and they have to go and electrocute themselves sometimes to learn the lesson, right? So the same thing, sometimes imposing fear is not the answer, right? Like, just go and learn the lesson, then the lesson for yourself. Sometimes one of my coaches says that when you learn from other people's mistake, you're a genius, but you can learn lessons by yourself without having to experience them. But sometimes this fear is not there. Sometimes this fear is bogus. Sometimes the fear imposed is just the fear of your parents or your father, right? Like they want to protect the innocent, vulnerable child, and they have norms and regulations and restrictions because they're afraid of themselves, or reliving some fears that they have in their own life. They're also afraid that you're going to be hurt. And that fear is bigger than the idea of that child is going to learn and not make the same mistake, even if you tell them, like, you're going to burn. Some children don't listen and go and get burned, but it's good to go out there and let them be. So sometimes we have a relationship with our father images. They're unforgettable because in those moments of fear, the moments of fear are the moments where all our senses are in tune. Our vision is like so alert. Our skin, like, kind of, like you have goosebumps. You have, like, they say when you're afraid, like you're cold. It's a whole body sensation. And so fear is something that we experience in a very intense mode. And when we have a memory of our father saying something that caused fear, that can cause a traumatic event. But we can get over those traumatic events because we don't have to let fear control over us if we know that that's what's happening, right? If we were told us that, no, this is just your father having fear that you're going to be hurt, just, oh, okay, I understand now. I'm going to judge for myself what I'm going to do. So in life, we have to do these things the same way. So when an authority or something imposes fear through any media or any way that you're going to receive it, you can see it as that father that is afraid of the child, but it's because it has other traumas, right? Or it comes from other experiences that are not your experiences. So you can, I urge you to go out there and experience for yourself. What is it, right, that you're going to be afraid of, and see it as in a different way, and expose yourself little by little to that thing that our fathers or that figure of authority is telling us, so that you can prove to yourself, like, oh, it's okay, little by little. And also another way to I was listening to a podcast, and they were saying, all the psychologists, and you can read this, you can research this, all the therapists, they all say that one way to, hello, Juan Carlos, one way to eradicate fear is to be exposed little by little in doses so that you can experiment. This morning, somebody was talking about their fear of cockroaches and how they overcame the fear of cockroaches by trying to hold the cockroach in their hands and as many times as they could until they didn't feel the fear. I think I have a fear of cockroaches because of other experiences, and I can't imagine going out there and facing the fear. But sometimes we are so afraid from these father imposed rules and regulations that we wouldn't dare to face the fear. But I would tell you to face the fear in doses, little by little, in a safe environment. Just maybe if you're afraid to go out, for example, because of all the bombarding information about coronavirus, for example, just go out of the house a little bit and walk around, for example. If you have fear to be infected or to die, then ask yourself, why is the underlying fear? Sometimes the fear is not the fear of the thing itself, but the fear of something else. So, for example, I was listening to that same podcast, very interesting podcast, and they were talking about the fear of not being productive during the day. And I have to say, I am guilty of that one. Sometimes we are overproductive. We do this thing, and we want to be productive, and we fear that if we get sick, we're not going to be productive. So if you have the fear of getting sick because then you're not going to be producing stuff, then, for example, you can think, well, why am I afraid of not producing? Well, because maybe we have a value that says, oh, I'm not worthy. I'm not the same worth if I don't produce enough. Then you have, okay, so I am attaching my value and my worth to my productivity or the things that I do. So then you discover something new. So ask yourself and have some questioning and some reflection on what is the fear that you have, to go out, to express, to share. Just expose yourself little by little, and your immune system will be okay. If you don't have, of course, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical profession, but if you have, of course, underlying medical condition, I would ask your doctor, be cautious. But I would say, if you have some fears to go out, if you have some fears of speaking, for example, just try to ask yourself, why is it? Like, is it some sort of father figure saying, you're never going to speak, you're never going to do this? My dad, and this is something that happened in my life. My dad used to tell me that I could never be a singer. He told me that I could never be a singer because I had a defect in my jaw. I have something that clicks when I open the mouth. So he said, you have a defect, you can never be a singer. But I was singing since 2, and they were encouraging me to sing. So did that thing prevent me? I wanted to be more rebellious, and I wanted to sing more. Like, yes, I am going to be a singer. I will be a singer. And even though they told me that, then I got over that fear. It's like, no, I am going to be a singer, and I will be singing. And there's nothing that they can tell me that will stop me from singing. So sometimes we have a fear imposed by other authorities, and that creates a conflict. And just make sure that you heal that conflict from the past. I know that we have previous, if you're an adult, or if you're a child, if you're a teenager, or if you're in college or in your 20s, know that fathers are unforgettable. The lessons that we learn from our fathers are unforgettable, from our fathers, father figures, and other images of father imposing rules in the house. Sometimes those images are also fake. We are creating them in our imagination. For example, I'm going to tell you another example in my life. My mother used to impose fear, like, oh, don't ask your father this thing because he's going to say no, or he's going to say this. So I was afraid to ask. But in fact, when I decided, I said, you know what, I'm going to talk to him and talk about something. It turns out that my dad was very open about many things. And just a conversation, it made me realize, oh, this is he's a cool guy. I can talk to him, and he has these open ideas. And all the fear was coming from my mom. So then I understood how everything was going on, you see. So sometimes facing, our fears, it may be that we have them all in the imagination, and we restrict ourselves from doing something, from getting out there, from tackling some projects, from writing the book that you want to write, launching the business that you want to launch, and everything, because we have this fear collected from our parents, from our father figure. Especially the father figure in general is the image of the one that is working, the one that's producing in the current standard of society. Of course, women can work and can produce and can be leaders and can do the same activities as all the men. And some say that we have even a better way to do it, because we have developed a lot of the sixth sense, and then that helps the businesses, right? Have an intuition and creativity and our sensitivity and our emotions more developed, more exercised, not developed, but we have exercised them a lot more, because the male have more restricted, limited, and they've been, by society, they've been limiting their feelings, some yes, some no, but in general. So we have the father figure to associate our entrepreneurial self, our working self, our heart, so understand what kind of values and what kind of things that your father transmitted you, like all the ideas, and try to decrypt it and write it down, and then figure out which ones you want to keep, which ones you want to discard. And know that all these things and all these ideas are actually already inside of you. Our father figures, our fathers and multiple fathers, all these ideas are inside you. They have implanted you since the very beginning. Even if you didn't live with your parents, right? If you didn't live with your father, you have some idea. These are implanted in you. So write down all the values and all the things that you think your father gave to you. And then decrypt that, and then try to figure out which ones are good, which ones are don't, which ones you want to keep, and which ones is good. For example, I've chosen to select certain things that were very, very strong traits from my dad. My dad is a very hardworking. He liked to study and he liked to learn. And I know I inherited this desire and this passion for learning and for keeping up to date on everything, because I saw my dad keeping up to date with all the medical advances. So in computers, I like to keep, I said this when I was little. It's like, I don't want to be a doctor because I see my dad is reading all the time and I don't like to read, I used to say, in Spanish. And so when I picked computers, I realized that it was even worse than being a doctor, because you have to keep up every second. I think every day there's a new development, a new technology, a new app, a new software, a new thing, and I have to read and be up to date with everything that it's out there. And I do, and I love it. So it's not just that I have to do it, it's that I love to do it. So I love everything I do, and I do everything I love. Not many people get to have that experience and to have that benefit. But I picked this trait. I know that I inherited this from my dad. My mom was not a good student. She was like a really bad student. She was not good in grades. She was not good in math. So I know I didn't inherit that from her. I inherited all these things from my dad. My dad was a very studious person. Math, physics, chemistry. I had aced every physics, math, and chemistry subject in high school. Was a straight A student, and I loved all the different technology and the science. I loved science. I loved the stars. I loved biology. I loved everything that had to do with that. The only thing I didn't like that much was geography, like all the political stuff and I didn't really like that, but I had to learn it anyway. More like a memorization, but I didn't have the passion for it, but I had passion for the molecules and how it went inside and the atoms. And I had an amazing teacher for physics in the second to last year in my high school. He was a Spanish professor that had gone into monastery, but then he left the monastery, and he was really interesting, and he gave us this book with all these advances in math and physics and all the things that could happen, and the negative mass, and I was completely blown away about the whole cosmos, and that interested me. But that's because my dad was really interested in science and all the lab things and the numbers and all the stuff, the statistics. So I know that I learned that from my dad by seeing him doing all the research and discovering new things. So that was something that I took from him. But things that I didn't like, for example, he was very rigid. He's like, this is the way, there's no other way. This is my way and no other way. So very, very rigid. So I was always going outside the box, throwing everything outside the box, doing something different. The rigidness, I picked that. So sometimes I can get rigid. And so I know that this is not good. So I try to be flexible. I try to be a lot flexible, and I try to exercise my flexibility. So these are the things, you see. And sometimes those things that we go against, we have the fear of being punished by our dad, punished by the authority. So it's the same thing, the father figure, the punishment that like, oh, if you don't do this, you're going to be punished. Your dad is going to scold you. So these are fears that are imposed in our life that we can clean and we can get over it little by little. So these fears sometimes don't let us launch the business or sell to the client or do whatever we need to do every day, because we have fear of being against what our father or our father figure or the authority told us or is telling us through different media, right? So that's why right now there's so much controversy, with all the rebellion going on, the protest, and the racism exposed. I think that this is the best time in the world. People are slowly waking up. Things are uncovering. The cockroaches are coming out, right? We're lifting the rug and we're seeing shit. We have a mess here. And now we have opportunity to fix things. The same thing is with our life. If we don't lift our rug, if we don't see our own fears, if we don't face them, we cannot fix them. The first step to do something better and to fix something that's broken is to accept and acknowledge that something is broken, to see it. Not even to accept it, but just to see it. Once you see something, then you say, oh, okay, I see something. Oh, I see it's broken. Well, now how do I want it repaired or do I want to throw it away? And then you say, okay, I want to keep it, but I want to fix it, or I want to throw it away. So it's the same thing in life, in the micro and the macro. So this is what's happening. We're seeing things for the first time that we didn't want to see. We were blinded. We were, whatever you call it. We thought it was under the rug. We swept it under the rug, many things. And there's so many things in the world like this that we haven't seen yet, but we are going to see. I know. So this is a great moment in the world because I know that we're going to see a lot of things. We're going to see all these cockroaches. We're going to decide what we're going to do. We're going to sweep it again under the rug, or we're going to kill them. We're going to put them in a jar. We're going to put them in where the cockroaches live. We're going to do and deal with them the same way we deal with the fears imposed by our fathers. And so this is very, very important. So to acknowledge. And sometimes our fathers have the idea of protection, right? Sometimes a lot of information comes to us in the form of, oh, we're protecting you from this, protection from this. And our fathers protect us from this thing. And they don't let us, like when I was a kid, my parents protected me. My father protected me from running and from biking. They said, girls don't run or bike. They can break their legs. It's not nice for girls to be running. It's not nice for girls to bike because the girls can break their legs. The legs have to be pretty for the guy or the mate to look at the pretty legs. But I was not allowed to bike because it was dangerous for a girl to break. Sure, I was weak. Sure, I was very skinny and fragile. I'm sure I would have fallen a million times. I'm sure I would have broken all kinds of skin and whatever, or maybe not. We don't know. We cannot speculate. But the truth is that was out of protection. So their fear of me being hurt overprotected me. And as a result, I didn't ride a bike. I didn't learn how to ride a bike, which I probably needed later in life to do some transportation, but I couldn't do it because I was limited. I couldn't even go with some people that were riding bikes because I couldn't enjoy that, or enjoy nature or something here in Boston because I didn't know how to bike. I couldn't use the bike system because I didn't know how to bike. But then I learned. Then I put that away and I threw away that fear of being hurt. And at 40 years old, I decided to buy a bike on the internet, assemble it myself. I actually had to build it myself, and then learn how to bike for 15 minutes every day in my basement of the big building where I was living. I would ride. Somebody would hold the bike from the back, and then I would mount, and then I would try to bike straight or curved, big turns, and to try to balance and learn it. And in the course of 2 months, I learned how to bike. And in the course of 2 months, the hardest thing was to start on my own without having somebody hold the bike. And I figured out how to start, and I figured out how to stop, like clumsy. I would fall like a million times. I have all kinds of, for months and months and months, I can't tell you how many months I wasn't able to lean or kneel to get on my bed. I could put my knee in my bed because it was painful. And I hated that feeling, but I had it for many years, and I would fall, and then the triathlons and everything, but I would keep on doing. It didn't matter. The pain was okay because I overcame that fear. I knew that I had to do this, and little by little. The first time I took a city bike, so I only would ride a triathlon bike, for example. That was it's a road bike. It's even harder to start to ride on that bike because it's very skinny, it's very unstable. So I was riding on that bike. My first ride outdoors wasn't my first triathlon because it was straight no cars, everything is aside, and I could just go safely straight and big turns. And if not, I would climb. I would get off the bike and climb if I couldn't climb, and walk with my bike. But I was safe there. And then when I went to Bordeaux with my boyfriend from Paris, we went to Bordeaux, and then in Bordeaux they had city bikes, and I was scared to death. I said, "No, you don't understand. I'm gonna fall. I'm gonna fall." And sure enough, I did fail. But even though it's safer, it's a bigger, it's gonna be easier. Well, I learned in that vacation for New Year's that we used to do a different place every New Year's. I learned to ride a city bike in Bordeaux. Oh my God. And that changed my life. And then after that, I started testing, but it was scary to go in the sidewalks, to go in the narrow places. I was scared to death. And I would cry and I would go, but I would cry and I was scared, and I did it. I felt uncomfortable, but I did it. And I was pressured by him, of course, that would leave me behind and just go. And it's like he didn't think I would be so behind, but then he figured it out, and then he started, figuring out that I could fall or anything. It was really, really scary, but I learned, and then I became a city biker. And then all I would do in Paris, I came back, I could ride any bike. And then I only used the bike for transportation. It was unbelievable. And then I started practicing more. Now I can go in a really, really narrow space. I can actually ride with one hand. And I was so proud. And all that, it took me so long. At 50 years old is when I finally was able to ride a city bike. All because of the fear of my father of not letting me bike. I mean, now I don't know. I'm telling you, this is my father, but now I don't know if it's my mom with my dad. Like, I don't know. Probably have to ask them that question. But in any case, our fathers put these regulations and rules, and we have fear. We develop fear, but we by confronting our fears, by doing and feeling uncomfortable, we can actually do something different. So I urge you to face your fear, feel uncomfortable. This is great. Do it in doses. Go out there and face life. Don't worry about it. Things are going to be fine. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get scratched. You're going to fall from the bike of life, but you're going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. Know that the outcome is going to be okay. You're going to be stronger. You're going to be a better person. You're going to be powerful beyond measure. So I urge you, I thank you so much for watching this live. If you want to know more, go to automateyoursuccesscoaching.com. Make sure that you like my social media. You share this IGTV and YouTube and Facebook and Periscope. Make sure that you leave your comment where you're from. Send me a message. I reply to every single message. So make sure that you share this. Thank you so much for watching everywhere online. I will be continuing to do this tomorrow and Friday. Also, on Saturday will be 1 hour. Probably will be starting at 2 p.m. instead of 1, because I have a class I want to finish with my coach. How to buy and sell businesses for $1. Anyway, go in there. If you want to know more about that, send me a message as well. But go into my Facebook on my page, automateyoursuccesscoaching.com. You will find all kinds of resources for COVID, free consultations, meditations, music. All my music is on all the digital stores. You can go find me as Neni Carolina Chacin, and you will find all the information, all my music online, all my albums, my singles that I've released this year, last year, and the other year. And if you want to buy my photography book for flowers that I love, and with the meditation and a special message for each page. If you want some inspiration, motivation, that is a very good. If you want a gift or something, you can find it on Amazon as Neni Carolina Chacin. Like, this is called Flowers, iPhone photography. It's called Flowers, the book, and the subtitle is Nature's Art and Inspiration. So there you have it. And if you want to be healthy and strong by the time you go out, you feel free to also get my Amazon cooking book. It's on Amazon, paperback and Kindle, both books. And this is Neni's Healthy Fast Cooking. So I think I'm thinking of, I have a lot of new recipes that I might add it to this book. So whoever buys the book will get the new updated version of it, okay, for free. So thank you so much for watching. Además, hasta mañana. We may do some Spanish English tomorrow for my Spanish audience, but thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.